Okay, so here I am with Valerie McNeil. She is a established real estate agent for over 17 or 18 years now, one of the top sellers at the Bob Lucido team of Keller Williams Integrity. And she's also my mentor and business partner in my journey with real estate. She inspires me every day. She stays positive. She calls me with wake-up calls of inspiration. She is an example of a positive mindset. And what it really has proven that to me over time is now that this COVID-19 has hit and shifts in the world has been happening and change has been happening. Valerie is that same inspired person every morning when she wakes up. She doesn't wake up with worry and fear about what's going to happen. I'm worried. She's continued on that path and is still doing well in real estate. And in her life itself, it's just a well-rounded life. So I am bringing people to you all every morning who inspire, who show you a path toward seeing the bright side of life. And I want to just pick Valerie's brain for 10 minutes and find out what is it that continues you on that path. So good morning, Valerie.
Good morning, Stephanie.
Hi.
Hi.
So I hope you liked my introduction.
I did. Thank you. You make me sound so important, and I appreciate that. And I just have to say, it's been a pleasure working with you, and you are inspiring as well. So, I think this is a good connection. So
Thank you.
I'm very happy about that.
Well, Valerie, a lot of people have heard of you in Maryland. You've been around for a while, and you've continued to be one of a high seller. You continue to bring in new clientele constantly. What is it that has gotten you to the point that you're at today with real estate?
I think basically sheer determination. Despite what's happening in the world, within the industry, is to stay focused on my goal. Don't let anything really deter me from that. Also having a regimen that I follow. You mentioned I get up in the morning. The mornings are very important to me. It's when I set the tone of my day and what I'm going to accomplish for that day. One of the things that I am very, very dead set on is meditation and prayer, then followed by some type of exercise, whether it's yoga or another form, just to get invigorated for the day and kind of just to put to anchor everything that I just meditated on. So that's usually the beginning of my day, and I also just set the course of how I want my day to go. So that's how I start my day, which is inspiration for me.
Okay. And I want to find out, where did that come from? Was there a turning point in your life that you recognized the importance of starting to take your mind into somewhere else? Where was that time that you learned this, or have you been doing this your whole life and it's been that way?
So as you mentioned, I've been around in the business for a while. And the first turning point was when the real estate market tanked back in, say, 2006 through 2009, where business was hard to come by. Even if I had business, deals would just fall apart even at the settlement table. And so it was a time to kind of, as we're doing now, but it was time to pivot onto a different way of doing business. And so I knew that I had to do business differently. I wanted to stay in real estate. It's ever since I got into this industry, I had another career prior to this. I knew I needed to do something different. And so I basically started taking as many classes as I possibly could just to learn how others have dealt with shifts in the market, which is what we're experiencing now. I started I started going to a lot of association meetings. I started definitely going to our annual conventions where I was surrounded by positive agents who were looking to stay in the business and be the best at what they can be within their markets. And so with that being said, getting inspired by people like Howard Brenton, who's no longer with us, but he was a strong force in my life back in, say, 2008. So, it set a tone of how my days should start. I literally would get up and start working at my desk at probably by 6 a.m. And I would do things because I wasn't so busy because the market had dwindled down so much. So what I found was really important is to set up my database appropriately. So I just started putting everybody into my database, everybody that you can imagine. Anybody that I had ever sent any email to ever was in my database. And so from that point on, then I started to get different designations. I have my CRS designation, which is Certified Residential Specialist. And then I took GRI, which is Graduate Realtor Institute. And then during that time, short sales were very popular because everybody was upside down. So I learned how to work with people who needed to sell in order to avoid foreclosure. So I became a certified distressed property expert. So I learned all about short sales and foreclosures. And I started really just widening my scope. I started working, well, prior to that, I had been working with investors. But of course, during that time, all investors dried up because, of course, there was no money to invest. Everything just dried up during that time. But I knew if I did these certain things that when this time was over, I'm going to come out on top. And so that's what happened. It works like a charm.
So you have that mindset, and I know that everyone else is going through the same exact thing as you. So there's other real estate agents that are also in this, right? We've just hit a obstacle, and they're all in the same position. And I'm trying to find out why are you still doing okay, and I'm hearing from a lot of agents that they're struggling and, oh, it's hard and there's no work and there's nothing out there. And just, I hear you, what you're saying, and I know you're just such a go-getter. And I think that's just a trait that's in you. And I think there's action behind everything that happens. It seems like you just follow it with action. But what do you say to those people who are out there right now? They're in the same boat, same with 2008. I guess maybe I should go to 2008. The question is, what was it that the agents that didn't get past 2008, the agents that quit and failed in 2008, that aren't continuing on, what was the difference between those agents and the ones that are now still in the business?
Well, I actually probably there's not a whole lot of difference. Those ones that are totally dedicated to make this career, lasting for them, are still doing those things that we all do. One of the things that are very important is that you don't wait until you get into a situation like this to still build on your business. It should be an everyday thing. So for me, coming into this shift or this time that we're experiencing right now is the fact that I still get up in the morning. I lead gen. I'm reaching out to folks. I reach out, whether I make a phone call, whether I'm texting, whether I'm emailing. I'm checking on people. Now is a great time to check to see how folks are doing. It gives me another reason to call and reach out. And it comes from here. And it's not all about trying to get business all the time, which is something that we all do and we have to do. But, I think you have to kind of take the situation at hand. In 2008, everyone was upside down looking for a bailout of some sort, whether it was real estate, whether it was from the government or whatever. Now it's a little bit different. What I found is that this happened at the onset of the spring real estate market. So since this happened, it's not that buyers went away. They're still there. Mm-hmm. So as long as you're in touch and you're reaching out to your folks, your sphere of influence, it should ride you through this. Because maybe we were at a pause where sellers may have been a little bit hesitant of strangers walking into their home. Of course, everyone wants to protect themselves, as they should. But I find that my client base did not go away. They were on pause for a second, but since I already had transactions in motion, those are still closing.
Yeah.
Real estate is considered essential. So it's not like my deals are falling apart. They're not. And matter of fact, I'm still, on my roll. I'm still calling. I'm still getting listings. I still have buyers that are still going under contract. So as long as you have that momentum, that motion,
Hmm.
it should be able to, catapult you through this season that we're having.
Hmm.
It may go down a tad bit, but as long as I think for me, as long as I stay on top of my sphere of influence,
Hmm.
I should be fine. So,
Yeah. So
yeah.
Valerie, let's take a chapter, another obstacle that came into your life where you still thrived within real estate, and you had a health concern that you dealt with. If you would be comfortable sharing that story, I think it's very inspirational.
Sure. So in 2016, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, which was pretty devastating, news, because I hadn't expected that to come about. So, of course, I had to deal with the physical. Uh, I had a double mastectomy. A year later, I had total reconstruction. Um, I did chemo, I did radiation, I lost my hair, all of those things. But the one thing that really kept me going and kept me inspired was, still at a point where my business was going good. Um, I was still reaching out, still lead genning and everything. That didn't stop. I mean, literally, I would be on the chemo ward at the hospital, and they had the TV, which is right in your room, daytime television, which I thought sucked. I'm like, oh my God, there's no way I'm gonna sit here and watch The Price is Right.
Hmm.
Um, so I just found that as a good time to still continue to lead gen. My sister was there with me every time, of course, and my sister brought her book. And so I brought all this reading material like magazines, and then I brought some real estate books and other reading material. But I found the best use of my time, because I talk a lot and I like, reaching out and having conversations with people, is that I said, well, you know what, let me just make I'm just going to lead gen while I'm here. I'm going to be here for 4 hours.
Hmm.
So I just, Ivy in my port, which was here, nurses would come in, they would hear my conversations, and plus I'm also still dealing with my transactions. I still had a lot of transactions happening. I do use a transaction coordinator who was helping me along the way as well. I am a listing agent, so it's not like I have to go out and show properties. At that time, my listings got me through, and I was still transacting, doing deals, getting new listings,
Hmm.
and being in the hospital at the same time. So I really thought that real estate really helped me stay motivated. It got my mind out of what was happening to me at that time, to move my mindset to something like, despite what's happening to me, I could still do this. And as a matter of fact, it boosted my whole mindset as to, what I can achieve. And
Hmm.
I'm just going to bring that to today. So, and actually during that time, I did take a class, a real estate Keller Williams class called Bold. And so Bold is all about changing your mindset as well, because you got to kind of, get out of, the woe is me syndrome and think about what you're capable of doing, because it's in here. It's in here. Um, so just because negative things are happening around me, even if it's physically on my body, it doesn't mean that my mindset has to be somewhere low. It could still be somewhere where it's inspiring my days as to what I want to accomplish.
Hmm.
So after taking Bold, on my days that I wasn't getting chemo, I was in Bold, and I was still having client meetings with sellers and doing listing presentations. And then today, while we are going through another pivot in our real estate industry, I'm taking Bold again, because I want to make sure that my mindset stays where it needs to be in order for me to continue to grow my business.
That's right. Yeah.
And I just
So
have to mention that you're taking that class with me. So
I am taking the bold class, and Valerie, definitely encouraged me to go do it, and I love it. And it's, all about mindset. And that's actually what sparked me to realize that that is the key, of course, but to start to look at successful people, and that you break it all down and it goes right back to mindset, because everything you're saying is that you looked at what was, and instead of looking at what was all day and staring at what was and saying, oh my gosh, look at what is and look at that, you actually looked for what all the gaps around it, all the gaps around what was. And you made use of that time to do that and fill the gaps. And
yeah,
that's amazing. It's a mindset that changes everything. It's actually so this little podcast I'm calling Mind, and then Set, and then Evolution. And the fact that
okay.
we have to, what you take your mind, you set it on something, you find the gaps, and that's the cause of evolution. This gap, this thing happening right here is a obstacle that we're starting to fill the gaps, and now things are going to be different, but it's not bad, it's just evolution. And that's
Exactly.
where we're going with everything. And our business, Valerie and I, are about to take over the world, as everybody
Yes, we
knows, and
are.
we're going to rock the world in real estate.
Gonna rock the world.
That's right. And yes, and Valerie sent me a video in the morning. It was like, who runs the world? Girls. Who runs the world? Girls. And we were just, we're ready. And it's about just seeing the light in darkness. There cannot be darkness when there's a spark of light. And we have to be a spark of some sort of light, and find the gaps, find what's missing and fill it.
And
So
Stephanie, and the realization is that the light is always there. It doesn't go away when we experience something that's negative or that brings us down in some kind of way. The light is always there, and it's up to us to just focus on that light. Be guided, and whatever you need to do to guide your mind to that light, do it. And that's I think is key. And I do that a lot with meditation. And I thought about you this morning, and I'll just mention that your email address is peace and light. And goodness knows, I do guided meditations. My meditation this morning was peace and light. So I thought about you. And then you call me with this. So, I
oh
just think
my,
it's just meant to be.
wow.
Yeah.
So that email, emails are way back in the day, when you think, that's like 15-year-old email, peace in light. But even back in the day, that's when I, started really learning about, the law of attraction. What you
Yes.
think really matters, what you put your attention on. You have to be conscious of that. And, just that way of thinking from years and years ago, The Secret, and that whole idea that what you do, put your attention to, is what's going to,
Expands. Actually,
yes.
and that's a bold law.
Mhm.
And what you think about expands. So
Yeah.
the reality is that we have a choice on what we think about. So you can think, oh, woe is me. Oh my God, what's happening in the real estate? Oh my God, I don't have any more clients to come. Well, what you think about is going to expand. So if you choose to think that way, and your life is bound to go that way because of the law of attraction. But
Yeah.
the realization is that we have a choice. So we can think, oh my God, this is another opportunity to grow my business. And so this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to set my mind for the day. And you have to do it every day.
Hmm.
But it's easy. It's easy to do it. Just start with meditation or however you do to motivate yourself.
Yeah.
I tell friends, I'm like, sometimes in this world, since we do have that choice, and it is up to us to be able to set up our minds, is that I just lost my thought, but uh, um, anyway, it's going to come back to me. But we have
Hmm.
that choice. So what you think about does expand. So if you're thinking about this as an opportunity, and who am I going to reach out to, and what am I going to accomplish today, and write it down. We talk about journaling in the morning. That's
Yeah.
really important to me. See the vision, because if you can just see it here, it's going to expand in your mind, and then your life will go that way.
Yeah.
And it's kind of easy if you're into that, in which
If you
case I'm very
understand
open.
it, yeah. And it's an art. And so bringing that to, you didn't conclude your story, but so what you think about expands. And during the time that you were struggling with what many women in this country or in the world are dealing with is breast cancer, and the way that you took your brain and instead of focused on what you could have been focused on, which is a lot of fear and a lot of times manifesting in, you know, it possibly getting worse physically in your body responds to your thoughts too. And
Yeah.
so I just want you to, you know, I know it's you went through that and you are now cancer free.
Yes, I am.
So you thought about other things, and at the same time, I'm just trying to put it to the point is it was a reflection in your physical manifestation as well. You're healthy.
Well, what I did, and I segued, but while going through that, what I focused on is how my life would be after I'm over going through the
Mm.
chemo and the operations and the mastectomies and then the reconstruction. I just saw myself, and then when my hair grew back, I just saw myself after all that was over,
Mm.
how my life would be. I would be
That's deep.
cancer free. I just need to get past this. And so by getting past this, keep your eye on the prize, you know, because God is in my life. First of all, I give all glory and honor to God who
Yeah.
did this, who got me through and kept me. I'm not going to do this.
Ooh, I'm an
But,
Oprah now. I feel like Oprah now. All
well,
right. Okay.
but, but but that really was my true inspiration, is that, you know, God is here for me, and he's going to get me through this. My mother was a two-time breast cancer survivor, and I looked at her, and I'm her child. Goodness knows, if my mom could get through it twice, I can get through it once. And so that was pretty much, you know, it. I just needed to get through taking care of it. You know, I needed to do what I needed to do, and then life would be great on the other side. And I just needed to get there. And so that was, you know, I did what I had to do just to not focus on this, because I knew this would be a piece of, it wasn't quite a piece of cake, but I kept saying that to myself. Oh, it's just a piece of cake. But you know, so then
That's,
I got past it, and here we are today. And so I'm very thankful.
yeah, that's amazing. And what you said is so powerful, that you were envisioning what your life's going to be after. You were seeing that, you were envisioning it. Your goals were clear, and you weren't, and you, even how you saw it as, oh, we'll get through this. That mentality, the body responds to that energy and feels the response. If you think a fearful thought, your body feels that fear. And if you think, oh, we'll get through this, it'll be fine, your body also feels that calmness. And you did
Exactly.
that. And it's amazing. And I think the world needs to know and see that it's real. It's not just a little happy belief that what you think will come to fruition. It's a real thing. The last thing I want to talk about and point out is the piece that I guess shows that this is not just some wishful hope of you think something, because the other part of your story is that you take action. So that action piece to me is the most important. I think that's something that people leave out, and they'll say you know, thinking positive doesn't work while they're like taking naps and meditating. It's not
Exactly.
taking naps and meditating and hoping. It is believing, seeing clearly, and then the steps of action.
Action to it.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
So if you want to leave us with a motivational word that tells us, you know, what can give us inspiration to be as active as you are, since you are extremely
Uh, you know, you hit it, Stephanie, and you said your body, your cells kind of take over. And I hate to talk about bold so much, but there's another saying in bold, and it says, your brain eavesdrops on your thoughts. So your brain gives you the motivation to take action, right? I mean, you have to set it up, but what you're thinking about, like I'm, I would just say that think about your thoughts, and then once you have the vision of where you want your life to go, just act on it. Um, you know, there was another story you wanted me to, sorry, that you wanted me to discuss regarding my ex-boyfriend.
I was afraid to ask that, but it's such a good story, but I'm not trying to mess some things up.
So I dated this guy for many, many, many years. And I don't know, he still asks me every year to marry him. And it's the same issue, this ongoing thing. And so I told him probably about maybe like 15 years ago when he first asked me to marry him. And he was my college love. And so he goes, once he wanted to get married. I said, well, why should I marry you? Like, what kind of vision do you have for us being married and being a couple? And he couldn't tell me anything. He goes, you just need to trust me. And I said, well, this is my life here. And, I want to make a good decision on who I'm marrying. So fast forward probably 5 years after that, or let's say so I wasted a lot of time with him because I was with him probably for about 15 years. So fast forward maybe 8 years after that, he asked me again, and this time, and I said, so like, what are you going to do? What are we going to do together, to build our lives together? Because I want to do this and this and this and that, and I kind of saw it in my head. And he would be like, I don't have to have a vision. Just, do you want to marry me? I said, so no, I did not marry him. There was no vision for anything. And I look at his life today, because I think that he lacked a vision. He's still actually in the same place that he was literally when we met in college. He still talks about high school and college and things we used to do back then. So it's not like he has not progressed. And so he did not have the vision to build a life, So I just think that, vision is very important, and you have to set up every aspect of your life that way. It could be with, your romance. It could be in business. It could be your health. Just have a vision for where you want your life to go. Start there, and then you know what? Your brain picks up on it and will lead you to where you want to go in life. So,
it's like people who I know that just, they, like you said, laid back, and you'll say, what do you want? What are your dreams? It's really as far as they want to stretch it. If you are just right there with like, oh, I'm okay right here, check on them in 10 years. They're going to still be okay right there.
Oh, right there.
The ones who are like, I want to do this and I want to do this, check on them. Check on them in 5 years. As long as your brain can stretch to there, you got it. Just stretch. Exactly. But if you're just gonna, this is, let's say to the ex-boyfriend, this is no judgment on being okay with where you are. Okay, if you're good with it, honestly, hey, that's fine. Honestly, there's a lifestyle that's very simple and plain and doesn't require much. Stay at your mama's house in the basement and help mommy out. It's okay. That's a lifestyle. Okay. It's not your choice. It's not a problem.
I'm not trying to stay in mama's basement all my life.
Right. It's just not Valerie's dream. That's it. That's all.
Dream. Exactly.
Her dream's just bigger. So it's just about stretching our brain to wherever you want it to get to, and it could be big actually as you want it to be.
So I guess to end it, my last words are to think big. Let your mind just go wherever it'll take you.
Yeah.
And you'll find yourself there, hopefully, in the end.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy. This is our first podcast.
I know.
And I think it's good. I'm going to continue, and we'll keep interviewing people. We might have a few segments that we've been talking about, Valerie and I, that would be interesting and motivational, and you all could listen to them in the mornings before you get your day started, and start kicking off your day with positive thought and action. Your mindset will take you to evolution. So. Yes. Thank you so much, Valerie.
Thank you so much for wanting me to be your first.
Yeah.
I think it worked really well, and I look forward to many more.
Yes, me too. Me too. Mondays at 10 o'clock. All right.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Bye.